Jean. Of course, Jean's been here a lifetime. She's Pauling community. Beautiful farms. Decker Lake in the background. Well, this is some of the Signers. Steve Signer. And it used to be Patterson's there. And anyway, dead center, that little V, that's where the Pauling Hall is. Used to be a school. That's the old Pauling Hall. Now we're coming down the West Pauling Road. There are lobbers. Yeah, Hartsfields. There's a little lake. Well, these are old places here. So on the left used to be Saunders. Anyway, dead center there, that's... I believe that's... Oh, what's their name now? The raised horses. And that's Neville's. Been there long. Dead center, that's where the Pauling Orphans used to have their ball diamond. The Pauling Orphans ball team. This is the old country here. Pauling. Oh, there's a little bit of the golf course here. That'd be number 2 in the bottom and 1 and 9 hole right beside the clubhouse there out at Carnoustie. There's Decker Lake again, the west end. Now we're on the north side. There's the... Oh, this is where Paulson's, Charlie Paulson, they done a bunch of scarifying there. They must be planting trees again. We're approaching the Decker Lake Village from the east side. Oh, kind of a look behind it at the Pauling country. That'll be our last look at Pauling as we're coming along the north side of Decker Lake, and we're coming up on the village here now. There's Upper Heights and the village of Decker Lake. We're right overhead now. Before we were over the lake there, kind of looking at it from a different angle. That's the Decker Lake Village. And the subdivision on the left hand. Decker Lake Heights, so-called. Quite a number of people live out there at Decker Lake. There's Specialty Woods again, BSW. That's the back end of the Wildwood Drive. That was built there in the early 70s, subdivided. There's the forestry complex where they keep the trees for planting. And the north shore of Decker Lake. Heading back towards town. Again, that's the Weebs there building their new home where the wharf used to be when Star Planers had the sawmill on Decker Lake there in the 60s, 70s, and I think it quit somewhere around 80. That was the Star Planers there. Burns Lake again in the background. Oh, here's some Holders Fields across the Narrows from town. Holders. No. Burkholders, there, Burkholders. Burns Lake in the background. Burkholders Fields. And another town view. And Giroux Island, that's where we come over top of before. The little white there, that's 2 Mile subdivision. And down below us, oh, this is the new rodeo grounds and ball diamonds. There's Giroux Island and town. That's there's 4 ball diamonds there in the new fairgrounds. This is some of the beach estates here, the subdivision south of town. We'll kind of swing now. That's where we come from, through that valley. And here we're up on beach estates, some of the people that are living up there. And we're going to head out towards Francois Lake along Highway 35. There, we are going to get a little peek, maybe to Sinket Lake in the background through the windshield almost. And Mackenzie Lake, as we're coming over that big blob of yellow. On the right-hand side was Mackenzie, and then up top there, that's to Sinket Lake. There. Still back at Burns Lake View, 2 mile. Now we're following Highway 35 out. Oh, there's up the top of Hopper's Hill there. Highway 35 to Sinket in the background. This is the Bald Hill Road. Lots of people live on that road. Bald Hill Road community. There's the highway out to Sinket Lake up top. As we're approaching to Sinket Lake along Highway 35 from town. There's the old crystal clear to Sinket. Another view of Sinket Lake. That field there, that used to be Neil Kelly's, that old-time bachelor. And then he did get married in his senior years. And right dead center, that's Porky Pete. Francois Lake up top. A few Schaefer Lakes. And at the Bald Hill country on the right-hand side, the very back end of the Bald Hill Road. Burns Lake would be way over the hollow there. And this here's Porky Pete. That's where that peat moss is dug out of the ground. Porky Pete to Sinket Lake. There's the southwest arm of to Sinket Lake and Francis on top. And the Schaefer Lakes are starting to appear. That's Francis Lake woodworking plant on Schaefer Lake. These are the Schaefer Lakes. That's Sam Schaefer's right dead center there. He's been raising Herefords there as long as I could remember. Of course, he's retired now. That's Sam Schaefer, the old veteran. Dad bought a bull there in the early 50s from him. He was raising registered Herefords. And dead centers where the bluegrass is held on along Francis Lake. I think we're going to turn here and maybe head back home. All this Brown Road country and so forth. Peebleville up yonder. Schaefer Lake, where the Schaefers live. To Sinket up top. Francis Lake woodworking. They're right here. This is where the Bluegrass Festival is held. On the old Keefe place. Charlie Darter bought that from Keefe and Ferry Landing. And there's the corner, the school, and all that other stuff. Haying time it was when this was taken. Still putting up some hay. That's Peebles in the background. Arnie and Bob Peebles. Oh, them old ball players. I loved to play ball with him in the old days. There we are back at Schaefer Lakes again. That's Al Schaefer right in there. Sam's brother. And there's some more Peebles, and then Burns Lake, Francis Lake Woodworking. And that here used to be Dieter's. That used to be Dieter. He used to be a umpire playing ball. Tesinket Lake. Yeah, I believe that was Arnie Peebles. And that's Bob Peebles, the seniors. The Peebles seniors. Lots of country there. Lots of deer country. Now we're going to come upon Tesinket Lake here from the west corner. There's where the Harrisons moved to when they got flooded out of Utsa. They moved out here too. Yeah, Beaver Point subdivision on the far Point campsite there at the point. Yeah, some of the pretty floral bottoms of Tesinket Lake. And there's Beaver Point, so-called. Beaver Point. Jake and Brenda Hebert, they've had that Beaver Point for quite a while. Looking where we come from. That is the old Kelly place. Of course, there's Cuthberts and Mills and Corlises and so forth there. The old Neil Kelly place. Tesinket Lake. And right in the corner there, used to be a sawmill there. Now it's Dave Olson and the Hodges. That's where John Hodge lives. This is where I learned to fly. It was right in the right-hand corner on a one frozen winter day. That's where we practiced in this winter of '85. I learned to fly out to Tesinket Lake. Why? Tesinket Lake. Some of the many homes along Tesinket Lake there, the East Tesinket Lake Road. That's Catholic Bay on Tesinket Lake. There's some of the home sites along the shores of Tesinket Lake, East Tesinket Lake Road. Out at right there is Catholic Bay, kind of a sailboat there. That could have been, whatchamacallums. And out at Agate Point, and looking towards the east end of Tesinket. There's Agate Point on Tesinket, right there it is. Looking east along Tesinket. That's the North Shore of Tesinket. In my Francis Lake video, you see all those lakes that are up on top of the ridge there between Tesinket and Francis on my Francis Lake video. Now we're coming kind of circled, gain a little altitude, and we're going to come up, slip over the pass towards home as the boat is zooming along on Tesinket Lake at Catholic Bay. There's Catholic Bay again. Something went a little fuzzy here. Got some time in here for some reason. I must have hit the wrong button there when I was gaining altitude there, as we're going to go up over the hill through the pass towards home. Right through the pass there. Some little lakes up top. There, we're coming through the pass. Tintegels through the far side. We're going to zoom right up over the hill. Oh, we're at 4350 now. Oh, the gas gauge is getting down pretty low. It's time to go home. Gain a little altitude here, and that's Burns Lake and Decker Lake lakes in the background there as we're coming up over the hump. Beautiful up over the very heights there. There's another lake and meadows right up high, feeding water down to somebody's spring down below. That's the east end of Burns Lake where we were so long ago. We're going to come right over top of the mountain top here. Just at Cliff Lake. Now we're going to get a real pretty view of Cliff Lake here as we're coming over the top of the mountain above the cliffs. South of Tintegel. There I can see the RCMP communications tower there, that little white blop. Right up top on the mountain. That's home. Dead center there is home. See the RCMP communications tower there, a little white blob in the foreground? That was just built there, in the 80s. And there's Cliff Lake, south of home. Cliff Lake. See how it's nestled in a little bowl of its own? Beautiful green water in Cliff Lake. Looking towards the east end of Bergen Lake. Cliff Lake. And then on the left hand is Crystal and Maud. And back where we were, Burns Lake and Decker Lake lakes, we're up high now in a real overview. Oh yeah, we're at 4,900, you might say, just about 5,000 feet looking down. Where we are, it'd be timberline, more or less. There's Freeport down below there, Freeport Trailer Court, along the skinny old Burns Lake. There's Loper's Fields at Tintagle. And Crystal and Maud, home. There you see Cliff Lake again. See why it's called Cliff Lake. It's right under the cliffs there. Back behind us, where we just came from, Tsinket. Might get a little peek at Tsinket there, but the sun is gleaming pretty good. There's Tsinket Lake, where we just come from. Crystal and Maud, home up top. In the Narrows, there's where we'll be landing not too long from now. There's the old Loper's Fields again. And right in the Narrows is where we're going to land. East end of Burns Lake, just an overview. There's Crystal and that little mineral outcropping there, colorful point. Oop. The old focuser wasn't working quite right there. There's home, Tintagle, 7 miles east of Burns Lake. And I think we'll just lose a lot of altitude here pretty quick. We got to get down there and land. We're at 4,400. We've lost a few feet. There we are looking east from home, above home. Squawfish on the right-hand side. There's Hennessy's. There's home. Crystal Road. Out at Tintagle. So we'll just lose a bunch of altitude here now, and we'll just land. It was very out of focus here. I had stuck the camera out the side as I was coming down, and it was out of focus, but gives you just a little idea as we're approaching. And I'll give you another wingtip view here as we're coming down to land. See, the old thing was, the camera on the wingtip shakes pretty good. There's some Loper's cows in the background, but just gives you a little bit of a... the bird doesn't shake like the camera did. It's at a very unsteady mount. And we're going to touch down here. Water, we've landed. And this is the way it would look if we were on the ground level. come from? Well, that was quite a long flight. 2 hours and 10 minutes all told. So, I'll fold her back up, and that'll be it. There, we've just had a wonderful 2 hour and 10 minute flight. It's 5 after 6 now that it was all folded up. We got in 5 to 6. Went way from the east end of Bergen Lake up to 6 Mile Hill, just east of Topley, and we come over the Pauling area, back over the Bergen Lake, and then we followed the Highway 35 out to Sinket Lake, to the ferry landing at North Bank. Took some pictures around to Sinket Lake, but it's just an unbelievably beautiful September the 21st. So very, very warm. It's 20-some degrees Celsius. Just very, very unusual to be so warm for this length of time. We've had this very nice weather all of September now. Just been very dry and very warm. A few frosty mornings in the last week. Did see -5 in the morning, but so warm in the afternoon. And that red baby behind me has just carried me so very well again. The 3 summers that I've flown it now, I put on 540 some hours on that red baby, and seems to be begging for more, and I'm a will.